It burst out of the thick fog like milk, sharp teeth catching the faint light from a sun barely hanging on the horizon. No roar was heard. Every sound was swallowed by the cold, silent blanket of snow. This wasn't a modern frozen landscape. This was the Arctic. 70 million years ago. When we think of the Arctic, we picture snowy tundras, polar bears drifting on ice, and a sky so cold it forgets the sun for months. But few realize that during the late Cretaceous, this place was once a lush, wet forest where the sun would set for 4 months of winter, and dinosaurs still thrived. In that world of near-constant darkness, a brutal struggle for survival unfolded every single day. And at the center of it all weren't just the southern kings like T.rex, but also the giants of the north, creatures modern science is only beginning to understand. When the fossils of Nanoxaurus hoglundi, a northern cousin of the Tyrannosaurus, were first discovered, they shook the world of paleontology. Smaller than T.rex, yes, but full of strange adaptations. A shorter skull, a broader snout, and likely better heat retention than any known dinosaur. And the scariest part? It lived and hunted in a world of sub-zero cold and months of darkness. Or between the mighty T.rex of the south and the resilient Nanoxaurus of the north, who was truly more dangerous? Can raw strength defeat extreme adaptation? And what happens when predators evolve to survive in eternal night? Let's go back. Way back. Millions of years into a time when the sun disappeared for months, and the rules of survival were rewritten. For decades, scientists assumed the Cretaceous Arctic was just slightly warmer than today. But in the sediment layers of Alaska's Prince Creek Formation, they found undeniable clues. Dinosaur tracks, fossils of tropical trees, and even traces of dinosaur nests. This was no seasonal pit stop. Dinosaurs lived, bred, and hunted here year-round. But how could cold-blooded creatures survive freezing temperatures and endless night? The answer: evolution. Nanoxaurus, like a true Arctic warrior, likely had a coat of insulating protofeathers, never directly fossilized, but strongly suspected thanks to close relatives like Deuteranus. This would help trap body heat and survive in extreme conditions. Even more impressive, its brain evolved differently. Smaller, more efficient, with heightened senses of smell and hearing. Nanoxaurus was a silent killer, stalking from the shadows, striking fast, leaving no trace. Meanwhile, T.rex, king of the southern lands, relied heavily on vision to hunt. But imagine dropping a T.rex into an Arctic world. No sunlight, no warmth, barely a sound to guide it. Could it survive? This wasn't just a battle of brute force, it was a clash between raw power and refined adaptation. And just when we thought Nanoxaurus ruled the icy north alone, new fossil evidence told a different story. Enormous duck-billed dinosaurs, and even predators like Troodon. Strange, intelligent creatures with eyes adapted to the dark like modern owls. Put it all together, and the late Cretaceous Arctic wasn't a frozen wasteland. It was a brutal arena of survival, where predators had to be more than strong. They had to be smart, stealthy, and built for the cold. And this was only the beginning. In the next part, we'll explore the hunting tactics these Arctic dinosaurs used, from tracking prey through deep snow to attacking under total darkness. Imagine being lost in an ancient Arctic forest in the middle of a never-ending winter. Snow reaches your knees, and the air is so cold that your breath turns to ice the moment it escapes. Not a single ray of light filters through the dense canopy. Wind whistles through the bare trees, and just when you think you're alone in the silence, a pair of eyes is watching you from the dark. In this months-long darkness, where the sun had vanished from the sky, Arctic dinosaurs had no choice but to become the ultimate survivors, in the harshest conditions Earth had to offer. Unlike the sunlit regions where sight was everything, here in the north, predators had to abandon light and rely on other senses: acute hearing, powerful smell, and precise ambush tactics. Nanoxaurus was the perfect example. It wasn't as massive as its southern cousin, T.rex, but that gave it an edge. With a lighter, more agile body, it could move quietly across deep snow, slipping through trees without making a sound. It didn't need speed, it just needed to get close enough without being noticed. Then just a breath, a step, a slip, and the attack began. Some researchers suggest that Nanoxaurus may have hidden beneath snow, exposing only the tip of its snout to breathe, much like crocodiles lurking beneath the surface. As a hadrosaur or pachyrhinosaurus walked by, it could burst out like a living spring, catching its prey in a single explosive moment. There's even a theory that Nanoxaurus hunted in small coordinated groups. In a land so hostile, teamwork could have been essential. 2 or 3 of them could surround prey, with one herding it forward while the others blocked escape. That's not just hunting. That's strategy. If that theory is right, Nanoxaurus may have been more than just adaptive. It may have been smarter and more tactical than T.rex itself. Meanwhile, another predator, Troodon, chose a different path. It hunted alone, using owl-like eyes adapted for low light to see in near-total darkness. Its eyes were massive, and its retinas were built to capture every possible glimmer. But the real weapon wasn't its eyes. It was its brain. Troodon is believed to be one of the smartest dinosaurs ever discovered. With a large brain relative to its size, it likely planned hunts, remembered locations of past prey, and even predicted movement patterns. Picture a feathered owl with claws and the mind of a strategist. That was Troodon. Each predator had its own tool set, but they all shared one rule: adapt or die. No sun, no warmth, no second chances. The Arctic didn't reward brute strength. It rewarded those who could feel the wind, track a scent in snow, and see what others couldn't. So, where does that leave T.rex? With a 6-ton bite force, it could shatter bone like twigs. But what would that power mean in a world where it couldn't see clearly, couldn't smell well enough, and couldn't survive the cold? There's no simple answer. But one truth remains: the Arctic wasn't ruled by the strongest. It was ruled by those who understood it. And that's why the battle between pure strength and cold-blooded adaptation is far from over. In the next part, we'll imagine what would happen if T.rex truly faced off against the giants of the Arctic. Who would survive? Picture this. A raging snowstorm sweeps across the ancient Arctic. Through the blinding white, a massive figure takes its first steps into the frozen land. Each footfall sinks deep into the snow, heavy and loud, cutting through the silence like thunder. This is T.rex, the southern legend, the undisputed apex predator. But here, no one calls it king. Here, the rules have changed. T.rex arrives with raw power on its side, over 12 meters long, nearly 9 tons in weight, and a bite force strong enough to crush a car. A living wrecking machine, it ruled its territory in the south by sheer dominance, speed, strength, and fear. It never had to hide. But now, in this eternal Arctic darkness, it's blind to the terrain, slowed by snow, and chilled to the bone. Every step burns precious energy. Every breath is a fight against the cold. It can't run. It can't stalk. It can't hide. The unstoppable giant is lost. Meanwhile, Nanoxaurus, smaller, lighter, born of the ice, waits in silence. It doesn't need to fight head-on. It knows that here, patience is the deadliest weapon. And Nanoxaurus is likely not alone. Somewhere in the shadows, perhaps a small pack surrounds the intruder. One distracts, another steers it into deep snow, and a third waits for the kill. This is no battle. This is a trap. And if T.rex senses the ambush and strikes back, one bite would end it all. But can it see well enough in the dark? Can it react fast enough in waist-deep snow? Does it still have the strength to deliver that one fatal blow? As it struggles, another figure appears. Troodon, not here to fight, here to remember. With eyes built like infrared cameras, Troodon watches every move, every slip, every weakness. It doesn't attack. It studies, waits, records, like a strategist in the shadows. When T.rex collapses from exhaustion, Troodon won't pounce. It will steal the remains. Intelligence isn't about brute force. It's about outlasting everyone else. And if T.rex turns to hunt herbivores like Pachyrhinosaurus, it'll need to move through dense forests where its massive frame becomes a liability. The prey? Agile, snow-adapted, hidden. The predator? Burning calories it can't afford to lose. In a land of scarcity, a failed hunt is a death sentence. T.rex is like a sports car thrown into a muddy battlefield, fast, powerful, but completely unsuited for the terrain. Nanoxaurus and Troodon, they're the special ops, blending into the snow, leaving no trace. Winning not with force, but with cleverness. But reverse the scenario. Drop Troodon or Nanoxaurus into the south, under scorching sun and among massive, aggressive predators, and they might not last a week. The answer is clear. There is no ultimate predator. Every species is the product of its environment. And when you change the stage, you change the outcome. T.rex didn't lose because it was weak. It lost because it didn't belong here. And in the Arctic, where darkness rules, the clever always win. Surviving in the Arctic wasn't a triumph. It was a price paid. In blood, in time, in sacrifice. No creature emerged from the long winter unchanged. Something was always lost. A companion, a piece of flesh, or even a sense of self. In this frozen world, instinct alone wasn't enough. Survival demanded strategy. It required the ability to change, sometimes even the will to let go. Not every dinosaur endured the Arctic winter. Fossil records show that many species, especially large herbivores, disappear from the winter layers. They either migrated south or didn't survive the long, sunless cold. Only the truly extraordinary remained behind to face the eternal dark, where there was no light to hunt by, no plants to graze on, and even sound itself seemed to vanish beneath the snow. Troodon could stalk prey by sight. Nanoxaurus could smell danger through the wind. But was that enough? Science reveals something even more remarkable. Some Arctic dinosaurs didn't just survive. They nested, laid eggs, and raised their young in the middle of winter. At the Prince Creek Formation in Alaska, fossils of eggs, embryos, and juvenile nests have been found in layers representing the cold season. What does that tell us? These creatures didn't flee. They didn't wait for spring. They made the cold their normal. They made the dark their home. And they taught their young how to live in it. This wasn't just survival. It was a culture of survival, passed down from one generation to the next. Imagine it. In the middle of a snowstorm at -30 degrees, a dinosaur mother curls around her nest to block the wind. She doesn't know if she'll survive the night, but she does it anyway, because her kind must not vanish. In this world, life didn't belong to the strongest. It belonged to those who refused to give up. T.rex may have been the symbol of dominance, But in the Arctic, even dominance had to bow to nature. And in the dark, it was the small, feathered, wide-eyed, fiercely determined that earned the right to enter the next era. In the end, the question still remains. Not who was the strongest, not who killed best, but who lasted the longest, who left traces behind, who kept going when the Cretaceous ended in fire, darkness, and global collapse. When ash choked the skies, when sunlight disappeared from the earth, when plants died and food chains collapsed, raw power meant nothing. It didn't matter how hard you could bite, how fast you could run, or how many territories you once ruled. The only thing that mattered was whether you could adapt fast enough. And that's why Troodon, Nanoxaurus, and many Arctic dinosaurs, despite surviving brutal winters, still didn't escape the price of a dying planet. They didn't vanish because they were weak. They vanished because the world changed too fast. And yet, something extraordinary happened. Some smaller species, distant relatives of those fierce predators, survived by shrinking, hiding, evolving, and eventually becoming the birds we see today. So in the battle that spanned millions of years between power and adaptation, who truly won? Maybe not T.rex, maybe not Troodon, maybe not Nanoxaurus. Maybe it was the ones humble enough to become something else. Perhaps the greatest lesson of this confrontation isn't in teeth or claws or cunning. It's in the ability to let go, to change, and to be reborn. So what about you? If the world changed again, suddenly, brutally, would you cling to lost glory or evolve like the quiet survivors? If you're still thinking about that, let me know in the comments below. And if you want to keep exploring the untold prehistoric battles that shaped life as we know it, make sure to subscribe, like, and hit that bell so you won't miss what comes next. Because some stories are just beginning to surface.